Hi, this is Eric at Frog Valley Tropical Fruit Farm, and this is Florida Natural Farming. Today I'm going to do a video on the monthly farm tour. So it's where I look at the whole farm, and I'm looking at the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we've been in a drought mode, which is typical for this time of year, and stuff always looks a little haggard. And that's the case this year, though most everything looks okay. So down the driveway I have sugar apples and ginger alternating, and then on this side I also have mangoes and some bananas. And then at the base of every sugar apple I did plant Achachiro seeds because this was started to be a Achachiro farm. So we have about 500 Achachiro trees started, mostly from seed. I'd say 90% of them are from seed. So I'm looking at this orange sherbet mango, and it's just loaded with fruit. And this little tree next to it has quite a bit of fruit on it for such a visually not very attractive tree. The neighbors had sprayed glyphosate all along this side of our property, on our fence line, into our trees, on our property. It's totally legal in Florida. There's a ditch there which the state doesn't want you to spray glyphosate on if you're a farm, but if you're a homeowner without a farm, it's perfectly okay. So I went and talked to them, and they haven't done it since, thank God. It's been about 2.5 years, but because of that, these mangoes have never really produced well since then. But this is a very screwed up year. Our mangoes started blooming in early November. This tree is starting to bloom now. I think it's a sweet tart tree. It bloomed once. These mangoes only bloom once, but a few of them are starting to rebloom. I'm trying to see which ones they are. Here's one of our little Achachiro seedlings at the base of these sugar apples. It's under a little drought stress, but it doesn't look like anything to worry about. Here's another one right here. They're fairly good sized. I found that the Garcinias grow fairly fast here now, which is nice. That wasn't always the case. These sugar apples have never been the best producers on the farm. The driveway line sugar apples. This side of the property is disconnected from the whole system because of this driveway, this paved driveway. So here's a mango that's just starting to bloom. I can see a new bloom right there starting. And these mangoes just didn't even bloom at all this year. We had some that just didn't bloom. It's just not going to be the best mango year, but I've driven around Vero Beach and I see most people don't have any mangoes. Here's a jackfruit tree. I have some citrus in here. I have lots of seedling Garcinias in there. Here's a citrus that got both these citrus. This one's drought stressed, but it'll be fine. I see another Achachiro at the base of that citrus. This huge oak branch fell down because during stress, oak trees will drop branches, water stress. But you really want to have stress in your system. That's how nature exercises, and it creates mitochondrial health. So it's you have to have abiotic stressors in order for your tree to work at its optimal range. Here's a buttercream mango that has some fruit on it. Here's our Rollinia trees that are very drought stressed. I've never watered those trees. They do this every year. This is a big mulberry that the creatures got every single fruit off of it. And here's some mangoes here. This is a Namdok Mai mango that just did a tiny little bit of bloom, but it looks like it's starting to rebloom now. If anybody thinks that we don't get more than one crop a year, I guess this is proof that yes, our mangoes bloom pretty much all year, except during the coldest parts of winter. Here's a Namdok Mai tree also. Here's a Malika tree. Here's a Malika tree that for some reason I think the creatures got all the fruit. Here's a Floragon tree. Got a lot of fruit on it, but the creatures got all the... Here's a Floragon tree the creatures have been working their way down. The possums got all the fruit off this tree, and now it looks like it's going for these trees. Oh well, what are you gonna do? I thought this was going to be a spectacular early year, that we'd be harvesting lots of mangoes right now because of our January or our November bloom. January seemed early, but it was we were blooming in early November. So once you get away from where they spray glyphosate, our mangoes are on their 5th bloom. This is the 5th bloom on a Super Julie tree, and it's a very big bloom, and it's got little mangoes on it, and it's this is a jackfruit that's totally stressed out from drought, but it has fruit on it. It's not dropping its fruit, and it started raining last night. We got a little bit of rain. We're supposed to get more rain tonight. There's a sugarloaf tree that looks like it's trying to bloom. Here's a buttercream tree that is just finishing a bloom, and it has some bigger mangoes on it, and it's got quite a bit of fruit on it, and then it was reblooming and just finishing up bloom. Little tiny mangoes, bigger mangoes, but this is also on its 5th bloom, and it has quite a bit of fruit throughout the tree. I like buttercream a lot. It is a tree that has produced 3 crops for us, 3 seasons of crops. This is a coconut cream tree that I think has 1 mango on it. It just did not bloom well. Sorry, there was a deer fly on me, but it looks like it could be trying to bloom under drought-induced stress. This is a mango that has some fruit on it, but not a lot, but some fruit. But it's the first year it ever fruited. It's a 4-year-old mango. Here's a sweet tamarind tree that the squirrels got every fruit but a couple. And the fruit is really good. Even green, the fruit is good. Here's some lychee trees that the drought just affected. Our pond is completely dry. So I don't really worry about the lychees because we've never gotten fruit because of a lot of fruit because of the birds. So I'm just happy that they don't get greening, or not greening, but leaf arenos mite. It's the raccoon people. And this is a Venus tree, mango tree. It's got a lot of fruit on it. It's kind of hidden in the canopy, but there's a lot of fruit on it. It's because of the manure. This is right near the barn, and I've given them lots of inputs. This is a sweet tart tree. There's not a lot of fruit on this side. Here's and these are the trees that were covered in powdery mildew, and they are not affected by it, fruit set. That's because your tree is unhealthy due to management. Damaged mitochondria. That's what that's from, because you damage the mitochondria. So, you damage the tree on a cellular level from your management practice. And if you're spraying heavy metals, which is a copper or sulfur, you're putting your system out of balance, damaging your mitochondria, and your tree's natural ability to overcome powdery mildew is diminished. So I'm in here with our miniature zebus. My partner is up in Ohio, Cleveland. So I have to do it all alone again. This is our little bull, Romy. He's about 18 months. Next month he'll be 18 months. He's a tiny little bull. And I clean this out every day, and that's what our daily compost is. So it's just zebu manure, a little urine, and the cow manure, and some hay. I've been giving the cows lots of hay because there's no water out here. I can't believe people don't feed their cows, or there's no feed out here. And so this is our cow Carnation. She's the only one that hasn't calved this year. She's due in October. She turns white in the summer, and my cow Pepsi hates her when she has a baby, so I keep her separate until I wean the babies, because Pepsi will just fight with her. Hi, girl. Here's my cow Pepsi, my little darling. That's Romy's mother, that little Red Bull calf. And Whoever thinks that the bull is the sole decider of the color in zebus hasn't seen ours. So here's our black bull. And did you have to hit Peanut fish? And these are our little heifers, the little paint heifers, and they sure are cute. Come here, Peanut. Come here. That's Bubbles and Peanut. She's 3 months old. She's tiny. She looks like a newborn calf. And here's our bull. He's trying to be a tough guy, but he's okay. He's 32 inches tall. But it's funny, he throws paint calves, but you know, the cows are paint. She's a red and white paint, dark red. He's a black and white paint. He's got interesting facial markings. She's a little red paint, probably stay red, I would guess. She's mostly light red. And then Peanut is a red and white paint with speckles and stuff. Where she has the white, she's got orange speckles, and then she's got shadowing and stuff. She's a super nice little heifer. Hi, Wally. You being mean? All right, I'll leave you alone. Pepsi, what are you doing? Peps, come here. My princess, she's the sweetest little thing in the world. Hi, honey. Oh, yeah, she's my little girl. She's like a little dog. Yeah, she is. She's better than a little dog. She's a little cowgirl. She's 33 inches tall and sweet as can be. She doesn't get freaked out by anything. I can milk her. She's got tons of milk. I mean, look at that. She's got a super huge bag, and she's just like a little dairy cow, but she's not. And they're about the same size. That's his favorite cow. All right, I'll leave you alone. So Bubbles is kind of squirrely and you can't really touch her. You can touch her, but you can't like scratch her. Peanut is much more friendly, but that cow is also squirrely. My partner can milk all three of them and probably milk the bull if he had to, but thankfully he hasn't tried that. You take a hike. I'm gonna step over the fence. I'm gonna go around the back way and start the rest of the tour. So so there's like old grass in here. That's why I've been feeding them on pasture, because it's like old dead grass and weeds, and there's just not a lot of feed. And all the pastures around here, they mow them and there's just nothing, not even old grass on those. They don't rotationally graze. We rotationally graze. We have some little clumps of green grass here and there, but it should be a lot further along and look a lot better than this. But you have to rotationally graze. If you don't rotationally graze, then you have to use wormers. So we don't use wormers, and we don't use mineral blocks. We don't give selenium shots. I believe the reason why zebus are deficient in selenium is because of the mitochondrial damage that they have from pesticides, wormers and stuff. So we have a lot of grass. So they have misfolded proteins, that the enzyme that is responsible for the reduction of selenium in the cell, on the cellular level, is unable to work, and that is showing up as a deficiency in selenium. Because we use Grazon, and not us, but most people that raise beef and cows in Florida, they spray their fields with Grazon, which is an herbicide, and you know, the cows eat that, and then they worm them, and they give them antibiotics, and then they feed them treats that are made with glyphosate, ready corn, and are probably GMOs. This is a donkey pasture. We rotationally graze the donkeys. And here's the stock pond back here. This is how low the pond is. It does this every single year at this time of year. This is the dry season. So this pond doesn't go dry, or hasn't yet. Hopefully it won't. And then I used to have, this is a pasture also, but this is the neighbor that sprayed the glyphosate. This is the pastures I was talking about. I think they flood irrigate that too, so there isn't any grass in there whatsoever. It looks like this, the mowed path. Worse, actually. People overmow here in Florida. I found that mowing is the root cause of all of our problems here, and you can't build soil if you mow, and you need to have tall grass, and you need a home for pollinators, which is what all this stuff does. This puts the carbon right into the ground, and the grass back here under the trees is quite green. So I have a lot of these guanacaste trees that I thought I would start thinning out, but I'm gonna leave them because it seems like it's getting hotter and drier, the dry periods, and I found that everything seems to do better with a little shade. So this mango is a cotton candy mango, and it's starting to bloom again. And I thought it had, yeah, it has, I see a fruit on it, but it is starting to bloom again. So I didn't realize cotton candy was one of those mangoes that repeat bloomed. So this is a fruit punch mango that bloomed a lot and doesn't have a lot of fruit on it, but has some. But this tree had never produced fruit before, so I'm just happy for some fruit off this tree. I'd never been able to give it manure because I didn't have this path here, so I couldn't haul the compost through it. Boy, this tree does not look happy. This is a juicy peach tree that had a lot of fruit on it, and it looks like it's under a little drought stress, but it's also blooming. So I guess the season is not lost. I guess none of the fruit is on this tree, but it's got a lot of leaf drop. I see the possum's been back here. That's what it is. This is a pickering tree that had a lot of fruit on it. It's all gone. The possums, once they realize they can get fruit off a tree, they will not stop. They will not stop until every last fruit is gone, and they can clear a little tree like that in one night, and it looks like that's what they did because that tree was covered in fruit. It's not the drought. So here's a peach cobbler tree that is in full, looks like it's becoming in full bloom, or trying to do a full bloom. I see some fruit punch mangoes there. It's just going to be a screwed up year of mangoes. Very strange that our trees are, a lot of them are doing such big bloom. The trees, when it's really hot, don't set as much fruit though. They do set fruit this late, but if it's too hot, they won't set a lot of fruit. And this is a peach cobbler tree that last year produced tons of fruit. And this year, it looks like all the fruit is gone. I haven't been back here, but it is reblooming, so it's not a total waste. It's just a weird year, but it looks like it's really starting to do a bloom. I see quite a bit of bloom started on it on this side, the west side. So all is not lost, and it looks like it's pushing here. So it's not going to be a total wash. I know that the possums got all the fruit on this tree because this tree was loaded too. I only see one fruit left on it. There's no fruit on the ground, so I know that's what it is. So irritating. It's not so bad when it's a productive year. Here's a lemon zest tree. I see one little fruit on it. It's just depressing though when it's kind of a crappy year and then that happens. So this is a Lancettia tree that I see is blooming also. And I just don't like Lancettia fruit. I see some fruit on there, but I see some blooms up there also. Not a lot of fruit though. Carrot tree starting to bloom. I see some fruit on it. There's a carrot tree starting to bloom. Here's an ice cream tree starting to bloom. I love ice cream mangoes. This is a coggeshall tree, not doing anything. I'm not a fan of coggeshall. This is a coggeshall tree. It looks like it's in full bloom. It's got little tiny fruit on it. This is the 5th bloom on these trees. Just a weird ass year. So this is a carrot tree that's blooming. It's got little fruit on it, I see. Not a lot, but it does have some. I see a lot of our trees are blooming well. This is a Valencia Pride tree that's in full bloom, and it's got some big fruit on it. So a lot of these trees that had never bloomed more than once or fruited more than one crop per year are showing that they all will produce more than one crop per year here. And I'll show you this Valencia Pride. I see a big fruit right there. Can you see it? Yes, right there. And then I see little tiny fruits. So one's going to be a spring crop, and obviously these are going to be summer crop, these new blooms. So it's given me a good bloom, and I know that the creatures got the fruit on here because I had seen earlier that they were here, but this tree has never given me more than one crop a year. And here's another Valencia Pride tree that is blooming also. So there's an ice cream tree. I could see fruit on it from here. Here's an ice cream tree that has quite a bit of fruit on it, it looks like. Usually the creatures love the ice cream fruit the best. But this Valencia Pride just blows me away that it's giving me another crop. So this has a big fruit right here, and then right here, and then it's blooming. So you tell me, is that more than one crop per year? It most certainly is. This is an ice cream tree that last year produced like hundreds of fruit, and this year not so much. But I have a feeling this tree, well, I guess there's more fruit in here than I thought. So as far as fruit goes, ice cream is one of my favorite fruit. This is a ice cream tree that's blooming. This is a cotton candy tree that's in full bloom and has some okay sized fruit. Would I consider this a second crop? No, these fruit are not that big, and it's still got blooms on it and has old bloom. I would consider that just one crop. This is one of our mangoes that froze and actually has set fruit. So I had written this one off, but it had died above the graph 2 years ago when it got down to 31 degrees. We had about 30 of them freeze down to the ground. This is one of them. That one wasn't. That's a cotton candy in bloom. This one froze down to the ground, but now it has fruit on it. I'm pretty sure that these trees are going to bloom some more, because it seems like that's what they're doing. Here's a little longan that was getting sunburned. Look at our grass. Scary. But it's going to turn all that prebiotic into energy for the food for the microbial life. Here's a seedling mango that looks totally good. I'm excited to see what these Valkyries have done, because they hadn't even bloomed yet, not even once. It's just going to be a weird mango year. It's not going to be the best year. Here's a little gem tree off all by itself. The creatures didn't get it. It's covered in fruit. So I like little gem. I mean, I put it on par with Floragon. It's a good producer. Probably, I think, if I had a choice of one tree and I needed it to be kind of small and compact and it produced a lot of good fruit, delicious fruit, it would be orange sherbet. I would have to pick orange sherbet. It just consistently produces fruit. Here's some fruit punch trees, and they have some good sized fruit on them. Not a lot, but I'll take what I could get at this point. And 270 grafted trees. We're gonna have some fruit, but by all means, this is like a bad year. Oh, there's a fruit on my Valkyrie here, so it must have given me one panicle. I bet these trees bloom in the next, or this, you know, as the time goes on. There's those fruit punch trees. Fruit punch trees has mangoes up there, I see. There's a big cashew tree right there, seedling. Got about 200 cashew seedlings I have planted. Here's another one. Our cashew is blooming and fruiting right now. So this fruit punch tree was covered in fruit. I see all of it is gone except for one. It didn't drop off. That was the creatures got it. Definitely, that's what happened. I can see claw marks on it. Oh, there's a couple on here still. Good. I got this. Put this. I knocked it off. Nice. But it would have got, creatures would have got it, attracted to it. There's a mango. There's a mango. So, here's one. I think I'm going to take this mango because I don't want the creatures to find it. Here's a orange crushed jackfruit that has fruit on it. A little, it's definitely under drought stress. Got a little fruit on it. It's trying to produce fruit. Hopefully it rains and will give me some fruit. So I do pull up pepper trees when I see them small like this because otherwise they're a maintenance nightmare. And for me, it's too hard to pull up. I'll have to come out here and do it. This tree is a sweet tart tree. So I know it's the creatures getting the fruit because this has raspberry vines or blackberry vines, some vines that are covered in thorns. That's, I guess, maybe a native vine that gets little berries on it. Right here is what it is. And when you have that underneath the trees, the animals do not get the fruit. So I know that that's what the problem is. This is a sweet tart tree, and they're all underneath the tree. They stay out of this area. Here's another sweet tart tree. Sweet tart. Here's another sweet tart tree. Sweet tart is a good producer and an excellent tree. I don't know if it's as compact as, I like the fruit probably a little bit more than the orange sherbet, but as far as for a compact tree. Hi, Wally. You're okay. Here's another sweet tart tree. Here's a sweet tart tree. Got the berries underneath. So here's a pepper tree I need to pull up. I'll do that. So here's some mangoes that are starting to bloom. These are one of the mangoes that froze. It's got a fruit on it, and it's giving me a rebloom. So here's a buttercream tree. This buttercream tree has been in a fruit or flower state for 15 months continuously. So it's got a fruit here and it's starting to flower. And I thought about removing that oak tree, but I just wanted to see what would happen. This is a sweet tart tree that just hasn't flowered. Here's a cotton candy tree that had a lot of fruit on it. It's all gone, but I see that the cotton candies, oh, this has some fruit on it. I see that the cotton candy trees are reblooming. This one's reblooming and has fruit on it. Oh, Wally, calm down. And there's the bloom, there's the fruit. Do I consider that when the fruit are like that big and it has bloom on it? Do I consider that a second crop? No, I do not. Here's a buttercream that's blooming. Here's a mango that froze that it's under drought stress. This one's a mango that froze. It's okay, but they actually rebloom. So I see this one. These are all buttercreams. This one is reblooming now. This is a diamond tree that is completely covered in flowers. Diamond has produced 3 crops for us in the past, 3 separate seasons. And if you don't believe it, there you go, and there you go. So proof is in the video. I can't really lie about 3 crops per year, and it seems like a lot of the trees do it. Here's a lemon zest that has fruit on it. And then it's blooming. Starting to bloom. This lemon zest tree produced 3 crops for us last year. It's kind of weird, I know, but that's what happens around here when you grow naturally. It's like, I am beginning to think that we really don't know how to grow plants. All the information that I thought I knew, or that I heard, or I read people's information, just simply isn't true. Here's our neighbor's mangoes, and I think that I actually see fruit over there. A little fruit, yep. That would be the first time that those trees have produced fruit. So I'm glad to see that. Here's some lychee trees. They look okay. Here's a sweetheart tree that has fruit all over it. Not the best year, but there's quite a bit of fruit still on these trees, or looks like it's going to ripen. The creatures aren't going to get. And definitely one of our strangest years ever, with all the mango trees that are in bloom right now. And here it is, almost June. They'll be in bloom in June, and they started blooming in November. So it's just very strange. Here's a lychee tree. Looks good. Here's one of our Miko lemons. Here's one of those Valkyrie trees that just never bloomed. Here's a lychee tree that's definitely under drought stress. Drought stress is needed. I see lots of cashews on our trees, so I have to change what I said about they only produce fruit when it rains. Because this tree is covered in fruit. I could see it up there. You could see the fruit is getting big. Right there. And it's got bloom all over it. So trees need to go through stress in order to have strong cells. It's for cellular signaling. And if they're good at overcoming drought stress, they're going to be good at overcoming cold stress. So if you keep them at a constant temperature, just like us, if we stay at a constant temperature indoors all the time, we just are not that healthy as humans. And that's what's going on with us. So look at this cashew tree. Yes, I love cashews. It's one of my favorite fruits, definitely for juicing is. You can't eat it out of hand. It's just got a weird fiber to it. But the fruit with the apple part, and look at all the flowers on this tree. If it had been raining, it would have more, but it's starting to rain now, so guaranteed gonna be start up a big cashew year. And I planted 200 seeds of this last year, so probably have cashews since it's going to start raining today more, and then tomorrow more, very soon. Here's a jackfruit that is definitely under drought stress. And these lychee trees, a lot of people would freak out if they had these lychee trees in their yard. These particular lychee trees right here do this every year. This is a horribly compacted spot. They put in a swale here to harvest water to go into this pond that's dried up, and that severely damaged the system. It disconnected that part of the system from this strip right here. So because it's dug down deep and there's a ditch there, a swale to harvest water into this pond that's totally dry, and then they put the dirt up here and they planted the trees on it. It's just made the system disconnected. But the trees are fine. They're green on their tips. And there's a reason why we don't have Aranos mite when everyone else does. It's because our trees are able to handle abiotic or biotic stress. So stress from Aranos mite. So this is a mango that's starting to bloom again. This is a sugarloaf mango. This mango is starting to bloom now. This is all summer mango. Here's another lychee that's disconnected. So when I get away from that little strip, because there's a ditch there and then there's a thing there, and I get into a more connected system, the trees are definitely healthier. So this is a big giant Inga Vera tree. This is a sugar apple seedling. We got lots of sugar apples on our trees along 12th Street that I've seen. I have a Garcinia acuminata. It's like the sweet version of Madruno right there. It's getting of size. Here's another diamond tree. Diamond and pickering are much the same type of fruit. They're both similar. I like diamond better than pickering. They're dwarf trees, but diamond fruits 3 times a year for us here. And there's the proof. There's a larger mango, and then now it's covered in bloom. And it's got a few of those larger mangoes on it, and it has produced 3 crops for us in 1 year. 3 different seasons. There's another big mango. And it does huge blooms, reblooms. So here's our jackfruit. This fruit is damaged from the winter stress, this part. But it's nothing to worry about. I've eaten them after they've ripened. This tree is holding its fruit. We have another one that looks just like it. As soon as it rains more, it will start blooming more and be just fine. Somebody said I should plant vines, passion fruit on these, but I think vines damage a tree. I always remove vines from my fruit trees. Here's this is a sweet tart tree. It has a lot of fruit on it. I see some's turning yellow, but that's to be expected to get a little fruit drop. Nothing to worry about. Here's a Venus tree that has huge fruit on it, and then it has a good sized bloom going on. So it has big fruit. Where are you? There they are. And then it has flowers, but it does have a lot of fruit on it. It's just like drop down below. I'll go over there. Here's a sweet tart tree. Here's our moringa. The moringa has lost all their leaves, but I know they're not going to die. This is the first year they've lost all their leaves because of drought. So this is that Venus tree, and then you can see the flowers all over it. Yep. Here's a sugarloaf tree. Here's a sapodilla tree. The creature's stripped of every fruit. Just wouldn't leave any for me. Here's that Venus tree. Fruit. Sugarloaf tree. Here's that fruit punch tree that had the worst powdery mildew I've ever seen on a tree, but it has quite a bit of fruit on it. Not the best, but it's not because of the powdery mildew. Here's our Queemuck tree. It's loaded with fruit from years past. I found that the Queemuck sets fruit when it's like drought. And then when it starts raining, it can drop a lot of fruit, which it's done in the past. But now that this tree is more established, I'm hoping that this year will be the year that it will retain its fruit. This is a peach cobbler tree. No, yeah, this is a peach cobbler. This is a pineapple pleasure. This is a honey kiss. Honey kiss generally is a super producer, but this year it's just been so-so. I only have one honey kiss tree, probably seedlings of it everywhere, because I do like it. Here we go. Yeah, look at that diamond tree. Doesn't that look nice? That's a Venus tree up there. It's got some fruit on it. Not a lot, but it's got some. Here's that sugar apple tree. Here's that male Inga, or not Inga, but Garcinia Livingstonii. Here's a big Santal tree. I should have got seeds of the sweet Santal variety. Maybe they're still for sale. I should buy some of those seeds, but I'm not that desperate to get. There's another pepper tree I need to get rid of. Look at the native oak trees. Completely drought stressed. That has never happened here before. Here's a white sapote that doesn't look that happy. Here's a white sapote that looks a little more happy. I have one that's doing very good. Here's that santal tree. I'm gonna plant my new cacao in this area here. It looks like a good area for cacao. There's another big santal tree. I have mangoes in bloom in here, little ones. And some mangoes on the tree, and there's some lychees in here, and some cashew seedlings, and there's a white sapote, and there's a mango in full bloom. Wow, I didn't realize we had so many mangoes in full bloom. What's up with that? So here's a Inga Livingstonii, the MB fruit. This tree is covered in fruit, as you can see. It got a little hot and some of the fruit started dropping. You could see it right there. That's from heat. That's not because of drought stress. Definitely it's because of heat. They don't like it. The fruit will drop when the temperature gets too high. And that's what happened, because it's retaining all the others since it cooled back off. There's a cashew seedling. There's wax jambus. There's an M4 mango. Look at this way. Here's an M4. There's quite a bit of fruit on here. This is a Venus tree that has some fruit on it. There's quite a bit of fruit on this M4. I'm happy about that because that's a first. Here's our wax jambus. I'm not crazy about wax jambus, but this tree stopped producing fruit when it got 31 degrees, and this is the first year it's started refruiting, but it doesn't look like it's under any type of drought stress. This is a Spondius humbun, the hog plum. It's got fruit all over it. Really good red fruit. I like the hog plum. I like the June plum also. Just have to wait for the June plum to get ripe, and then it's good. There's an Inga spectabilis trees. There's a pomelo, seed-grown pomelo. People have issues with growing citrus. If you grow them from seed and you grow them naturally, you don't need to water them. I've never watered my citrus ever. I start them from seed. I buy fresh fruit, organic fruit. I plant them when they're like this big, even when it's a drought like this. I plant them bare root. I think that's key. People have issues with their Garcinias growing slowly when they transplant them from the pot, probably because you're not removing the soil and rinsing the roots in rainwater and then planting them before you plant them, because our Garcinias do grow fast. Faster than I expected, faster than they used to, but it took me a while to refine how I plant them. And it's bare root. Here's a variegated Monstera deliciosa. I still haven't divided all this. This is a seedling Quaimak that had some flowers on it, but didn't set any fruit. It has produced fruit in the past. This is a seedling jackfruit. Here's a Inga fuilii, I believe. It's got flowers now that it's started to rain. I'm sure it's going to give us fruit. Here's a Garcinia macrophylla growing in this heliconia. It looks great. I think it's going to give us fruit soon. The passion vine looks good. I do let my passion vine grow on this heliconia. It makes a great trellis. There's our producing achachiro tree that has some passion fruit growing on it, which I always rip off, but I haven't been ripping it off until after the fruit is harvested, but it looks like some of it's ripe. It's amazing you can get such nice passion fruit without ever watering them. Here's a egg fruit called Delightful, a grafted tree. It's got flowers all over it. Our sapotes have flowers on them, so that tree produced quite a bit of fruit last year. It's unaffected by drought. This is a black sapote tree called Black Beauty. Had a lot of fruit. It's had some flowers on it, and it still does. It's still trying to flower, but it lost all these leaves from drought. But that's natural. That's how they... oh my God, I see a big crack in my Achachiro branch there. I don't like seeing that. That scares me. I wonder if some freaking creature crawled up in it. Probably, would be my guess. Gotta love the creatures. Here's a sapodilla that there is a fruit on it. This is a juicy peach star apple from Australia, or Chrysophyllum argenteum uratum. This is a Oscar's giant purple star apple. 10 years, they say, for fruit from seed-grown star apples. These are supposedly the juicy peach or not the juicy peach, the juicy pearl star apple can produce after 2 years from seed, but that's like a 6-year-old tree. So this is an Inga spectabilis tree. Always have to check my DPI Gold star apple to make sure that the creatures have not eaten it. There's a freaking creatures. Here's a Achachiro seedling. Our little cuttings of aroids are doing good. They seem to be able to handle the drought no problem. I can't believe that Achachiro snapped like that. There's a Achachiro. My rare aroids. That bothers me. It affects me. My Achachiro tree. Here's a citrus. This is what citrus looks like during drought. Nothing to worry about. Seed-grown citrus. So I got these seeds from Bellamy trees, Garcinia seeds, and Platonia species. This is the Platonia, and this is the Garcinia, and I'm going to plant them in these pots. The creatures got all the stuff from this, so I'm going to do the Platonia and Garcinia in here. And then I'm going to move this where the creatures don't get in it, because you could see they've dug through here and ate the seeds that were in here. Lovely creatures. I'm going to plant that in here and this in here. But it's the Garcinia gardneriana pendule variety, Platonia species Itacari, Garcinia species Provisa, and Garcinia's brasiliensis variety Itacar Bahia. They're big fruited varieties, so it's kind of confusing when they say brasiliensis, but it's must be a new variety, not your typical tiny fruited brasiliensis. So I'm going to move these over here so the darn creatures can't get them, or hopefully won't get them, and put it right there. So the squirrels, I think, watch me and then come over here and mess with things. And I see they got into my citrus. This is my, they've really been wreaking havoc on my favorite plants. That's my citrus from that I got from Virginia fruit growers. And there's my little seedlings in here. They still look okay. The creatures have not got, there's a Garcinia dulcis right there. There's another little aroid that's doing good. It was the Clementino rubino. Of course, my favorite citrus du jour is what they're after. So really a problem, because they always seem to get my favorite plants. Cacao, this is what cacao looks like when you grow naturally in this part of Florida. Don't be afraid, don't be alarmed, and if you're watching this video, please look at the date, and because I know in 2 years somebody's going to say, you don't take care of your trees, but you know, we don't even know how to take care of ourselves. So how could we be expected to know how to take care of trees? And trees know how to take care of themselves. We just damage the system so that they can't. So this is how it looks during drought, and this is what it is at the end of winter. It's always a drought in Florida. We do not water them. We don't water anything. We don't give them any supplemental water. So when the drought comes, this is what happens. It was severely affected because it was an exceptionally wet winter this year. Usually it's dry. So the trees were in full-on bloom when it went into spring, and then the drought turned off, or the water turned off. So because of that, the oak trees were even affected. So they were in full-on growth mode, and rather than in a cellular senescence mode, meaning, or they shut off their respiration and stuff from drought in the winter to conserve moisture, they were still breathing normally and developing growth above ground, but when it instantly shut off, it had to convert to the below ground growth. So it made everything, was a stark reminder that drought is very scary to me. And but I don't worry about it because this cacao has done this every single year, and it still produces fruit. This tree produced 30 fruit for us this year. It's seed grown tree. I've been growing cacao this way for 13 years continuously, so I'm not too worried about it. This is a Naklea latifolia, African peach. This is a citrus that is under drought stress. The heliconia, they say you can't even grow without watering them here, which is just not true. There's a achachiro. Oh, I'm sick about my achachiro tree. Here's bananas. Okay, let me go this way. This is a seed-grown citrus. I think it's a kumquat. All of our citrus is seed-grown. None of it has greening. It doesn't get greening because we allow them to grow naturally. So their immune system is quite strong, and their cellular, their mitochondria is not damaged from pollutants that you get from salt-based fertilizers and Roundup, weed killer, that they use to grow citrus, which damages mitochondria. And if your mitochondria is damaged as a person, you have chronic disease. And the same goes with plant. If you've damaged the plant's mitochondria and you continuously damage it with polluted fertilizers that are made from any number of industrial pollutants full of forever chemicals, then your mitochondria of your tree is damaged, and it's going to be unable to overcome something like greening or powdery mildew. It's just common sense. Like I said earlier, I just don't think that we know what we're doing when it comes to growing plants. And to think that the plants don't know how to grow is just weird to me. And especially in some place like Florida where you can do this. This is a guanabana tree. Grow all these different species the same way together. This tree was covered in fruit, and every last fruit except for one is gone. There's none on the ground. Oh, there's one here. So they left me 2 freaking fruit. That's an orange sherbet. Here's an orange sherbet that nobody has got. This is the first year they've really wreaked havoc on taking all of our fruits. There's an orange sherbet tree with big fruit on it. This is the first year it's given me multiple crops, and it's blooming. So see all the little mangoes? That's a big fruit. This is a big, good-sized fruit. That's a separate crop for sure. And it has quite a bit of them. And it's doing a good bloom. So this is an all summer mango tree. Got fruit on it. This is a Miko lemon that looks drought stressed. This is a Miko lemon that looks drought stressed. They have fruit on them. There's a achachiro tree. This achachiro tree, 2 years ago when we had horrible drought, 2 seasons back to back basically, almost died back, but then it grew. It was putting down growth below ground during the drought. So when the rain started, it grew twice as strong, and it's twice as big size than it was before, and it's unaffected by the drought. This oak tree, on the other hand, is totally affected by the drought. This oak tree is totally affected by the drought. They're natives. They do the same thing. This mango, I can't believe this mango is totally affected by the drought, and so is this one, but it's right next to the path. And this one is one that I wrote off as a mango that froze and died, and this one froze and died. This is a horribly compacted spot. The trees are just not that happy in this location, but I'm sure that it's going to be fine. Here's the achachiro that looks totally fine, and there's a citrus that does not. Here's a tree, a buttercream tree that has some fruit on it. Not a lot, but I'm hoping it blooms some more. Here's our citrus, our Miko lemon. These trees are totally unaffected. Got a lot of fruit on these trees. No greening. They don't look drought stressed at all. Got a lot of fruit on there. Little tiny fruits, bigger fruits, lots of them. Here's a mango that's totally unaffected. There's a mango that, this mango had a lot of fruit on it, this had a lot of fruit on it, and I only see 3 fruit at the very top of the tree. So this is a black sapote tree that is flowering, and still has fruit on it. I've been letting this fruit ripen on the tree because the fruit is really good if you let it tree ripen. It's really sweet and delicious, and it's under a little drought stress. This jackfruit is totally unaffected by the drought. Here's a mango that had froze but is unaffected by the drought. All the ginger, which you're supposed to not be able to grow without watering, is unaffected by the drought. Here's another Miko lemon. Okay, those are our sugar apples that are along 12th Street, and in between each sugar apple is a ginger, and then we have alamas and adamoyas and little cashews planted in here. Little cashew, and cassava and bananas. Lots of bananas. I've been getting lots of bananas. Pretty much whenever I need them, I have bananas now. We have 450 trees. The bananas don't seem affected by the drought. The small racks are because I removed so many pups from these ice cream bananas. I just kept pulling pups. That's why the racks are small. And probably a little bit because of drought, but I don't think so because the bananas do not look affected by the drought. This is the achachiro tree. I think next year that will possibly start flowering. If not next year, the year after. I'm going to walk through here and look at these sugar apples so I can show that there is fruit on them. And I have an alama tree over here that looks good. It's right there. It's hanging in there. So these trees are trying to flower. These little tiny flowers will not set fruit, and they have to be big flowers to set fruit. So I'll show you a big flower. Here's one here. Right there. That's a big flower. To a little flower. That's a little flower, a big flower, and then there's the fruit. So they are setting fruit. This one's setting fruit. There's little fruits on there I'm seeing. Would they set more fruit if we had rain? Probably, but we have so many sugar apples, it's not really a problem. Oh, there's a cashew. It's the good, the bad, and the ugly, that's for sure. It's definitely a lot of ugly to see, but I have to do these videos. There's a Super Julie tree. Here's a orange sherbet tree covered in fruit. Totally unaffected by drought. Those are black sapote trees. There's a mango that froze. These are this is a Super Julie tree. It's got a lot of fruit on it. Look good. And then of course those are all sugar apples and adamoyas and mangoes and cashews. This is the creature's attacking this fruit. That's why it's all damaged. But Super Julie tree. Or no, that's a dot tree. This is a Gary tree. There's quite a bit of fruit on it this year. I'm surprised. If anybody thinks that pine trees affect fruit set, I haven't noticed that. There's a big pine tree right here. And here's a Florigon tree that's loaded with fruit. It did drop some fruit, but it had way too much fruit on it, and I couldn't figure out how to thin it, but it's been thinning itself, so that's a good thing, because there just was way too much fruit on this little tiny tree, a 4-year-old tree. So Kezar mango, loaded with fruit also. More bananas I see. Yeah, you'd think that bananas would be like super water lovers, but they're not. So here's our sugar apples. Looks like they're setting fruit. I see fruit. That's good. Sugar apples, they're chewy green, chewy red, Kampong Mauve, a couple of Thai Lessard, which are my least favorite. I don't like the Kampong Mauve or the Thai Lessard as much as I like the chewy varieties. This is a longan tree that has a couple of fruit on it. Here's a longan tree. Here's a Florigon mango that the creatures haven't attacked. Thankfully, they haven't found these trees. Here's a Namdak Mai tree that this tree just didn't bloom. It did give me 2 fruit on it. Down here it bloomed once, but it hasn't bloomed, but I'm pretty sure that it's going to bloom up on this part. Here's a custard apple tree that's just starting to come out of its winter slumber. It just shed all its leaves because of the drought, and now it's kind of snapping back. This is a Miko lemon. It's an Inga cinnamoniae that looks great. Here's a Super Julie tree that had fruit all over it. There's 1 fruit up here. I'm guessing the creatures got it. Here's a jackfruit that just looks horrible. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's the ugly for sure. It's an orange crushed jackfruit, but I do see green leaves on its, higher up on its branches. So I know it's not dead. It's going to snap out of it. These jackfruit look better. This black sapote doesn't look that bad. That's a cac mango, which I love. There's a female Garcinia Hombromiana. No, Livingstonii. Here's my orange crushed jackfruit that has fruit on it. Here's a male Garcinia Hombromiana tree that looks like it's under drought stress. I don't believe what they say about Hombromiana being drought tolerant. It seems to be the least drought tolerant of all the Garcinia trees. Just saying, they all seem to be drought tolerant except for that one. And that's the opposite of what they tell everyone. So that's what I'm saying. This is why I do this. I want to see for myself. And it seems every year I learn something different. And what I thought I learned the year before changes the next year. It's like, I don't know anything. Here's a male Garcinia Hombromiana tree. This is a blue lily pilly tree that's definitely under drought stress. This is a Garcinia brasiliensis covered in fruit, totally unaffected. This is an oak tree that's, drought stress on a native. People think if you plant natives, they won't, they'll survive. Well, our trees are going to survive too. Just watch the videos in a couple months, my monthly farm tour in like July, and I'll show the cacao and I'll show the jackfruit, and you'll see that everything is fine, that the world didn't end and the farm is still here and we're producing fruit. So if this was my first year, I might be fooled into turning the water on, because we do have water. I just don't turn it on, and I've been slowly removing all the pipes that I've connected to the grafted trees. This is look at all the fruit on this Garcinia madruno. It's just loaded. This tree is loaded. This tree produces fruit all the time, year round, and I love this little tree. It's not the best tasting fruit of the Garcinias. I mean, it's very dry and sour, but the Garcinias are very medicinal, full of polyphenols and flavonoids and antioxidants, and that's why I use it to make tea from the leaves of all the Garcinias, anti-cancerous, bioactive compounds in them, and definitely I use the Garcinia trees for my fruit leaf teas that I consume on a daily basis. This fruit should be a lot bigger, but they're not. They're okay size. I like them. I eat the Brazilian. This is Braziliensis, the one I just showed the seed of. I just planted is like bigger than an achachiro fruit. So this is Gardneriana. This is Garcinia hambromiana, a fruiting tree, a female tree. I keep looking at the ground to see if it's going to start dropping the fruit. Please don't drop your fruit. But I could see it's drought stress. I don't see the drought stress in most of the other trees. Nope. This is a black sapote that definitely is under severe drought stress. This particular tree just is, for some reason, has always been trouble. It's the spot. I thought maybe this nitrogen fixer would help it, but it hasn't helped it at all. They are not the silver bullet. I see this oak tree is doing what the little trees are doing. Have leaf damage. This is a black sapote that is definitely under drought stress. There's a sapodilla tree. There's a mango that had froze. There's a mulberry, world's best, gave us a lot of fruit. There's a cherry of the Rio Grande that gave us a lot of fruit this year. It's definitely under drought stress. Here's a achachiro that looks fine. Here's a citrus that's under drought stress. This isn't anything to worry about with citrus. The reason why our citrus don't have greening is because we let them function normally, and part of the cellular health is from stress, not pollution stress, but abiotic stress, so stress from the environment. That's how they get their exercise. That's how they strengthens them on a cellular level. And if you don't have a strong cellular plant on a cellular level, then your plant is going to be immunocompromised. So this is a Gardneriana cross. It has sweet fruit. It's very good. That one wasn't good. Some are sweet, some are tart. It's a hybrid. Some are round, some are pointed, some are big, some are small. I like it. You don't eat the skin on it. Here's a key lime that flowered for the first time this year. I got to move this video along. Here's an achachiro that's under drought stress. Look at this oak tree, totally under drought stress. Here's a achachiro that's totally under drought stress, but it's not dead, and it's going to look a lot better. But I mean, here's your native. I mean, if the natives are doing the same thing, is it wrong to let your trees, your fruit trees, do it? I don't think so. It hasn't affected our ability to get fruit. It may prevent your tree's ability to give continuous fruit, but the Garcinias give us continuous fruit. Here's a bromelia. The flower is just stunning on it. It's not open yet, but it's a very nice bromeliad. So who's to say what is right? I just don't know. I wish I knew. That's why I do these videos. That's why I experiment on this farm. Obviously it works. All these little trees, most of them were planted from seed, and all of them were planted as tiny little trees. None of them were big. And I planted them before I knew to plant them bare root. You got to plant your trees bare root. It's a good way to start them off correctly. I don't wait to plant trees when I transfer them from pots to the soil for rains to start. I do it when they're big enough. There's a Luke's Garcinia. We have about 100 Luke's Garcinias. They look totally fine. None of them look drought stressed. Here's a seedling mango. Here's another. These fruit are getting big. Garcinia Livingstonii, female tree. This tree used to, there's no male near this tree. This tree used to drop all its fruit, but it also only bloomed in the middle of summer. And it took me a while to realize that it was the heat that was causing the fruit drop, not the fact that there was any other issue like water or that it wasn't pollinated. If the tree has fruit on it, it is already pollinated, so a male tree is obsolete, and the seeds from the unpollinated fruit should produce female trees. So I'm pretty sure that all the seeds from this are going to give me monoecious female trees. So I'm planting all the seeds from that tree. I'm going to be able to sell Garcinia Livingstonii fruit for $3 each this year, which is nice. I had it as high as $5 each. There's achachiro in here, there's cacao in here, there's a little cacao here. When the cacao is young, let me see if I can find one, little seedlings, they keep their leaves on them. They don't start shedding there's one, shedding their leaves until they get taller and bigger during drought. They only do it during drought. They don't seem to be bothered by cold if you allow them to grow naturally. I mean, our cacao produced fruit when it got down to 31 degrees. So there's a big achachiro here. Here's another achachiro here. Pretty much it for the farm tour. It's kind of a longer video than I thought. Got Garcinia amazonica. I got little Licula palms. I got Garcinia mangostana. I mean, this tree is 20 inches tall and less than a year old from seed. I got more Garcinia mangostana. I got more Licula palms. I love Licula palms. This is some Polyteria species that I planted there. I don't know what it is. There's a cacao right here. There's a little achachiro Primo Selecto variety. There's a Garcinia dulcis. We have about 25, 24 Garcinia species now. This is Garcinia debico. There's an achachiro. Here's a Platonia insignis. Looks good. Here's our rose apples. Here's our seedling sugarloaf mango. There's a little achachiro tree. I plant them in full sun. I don't really worry about Garcinias, whether they're in full sun or not. I don't really worry about a lot of stuff, though I am affected by that branch breaking on my large fruiting Garcinia humilis, my achachiro tree. Anyway, this is Eric at Frog Valley Tropical Fruit Farm. I'm sure I'll survive. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. I love hearing from you. Have an excellent day.